We begin with breaking news. After months of uncertainty, the U.S. and EU have reached a trade deal, ending fears of a major trade war between the two economic superpowers.
We've reached a deal. It's a good deal for everybody, I believe. And I think you were saying this is probably the biggest deal ever reached in any capacity, trade or beyond trade. Do you have any questions?
So the framework includes a 15% tariff on European goods coming into the U.S. That's down from the 30% Trump was threatening to impose on August the 1st.
15% is not to be underestimated, but it is the best we could get.
So that 15% tariff will apply to the majority of EU goods going into the U.S. That includes cars. There are some exceptions, including aircrafts, as well as steel and aluminum tariffs being removed and certain quotas being put in place. The EU is also purchasing $750 billion in U.S. energy and overall increasing investment in the U.S. by $600 billion. Joining me now with reaction and analysis is Stuart Trew, international trade policy researcher with the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives. Hi there, good to see you once again, Stuart. So we heard President Trump there. He said this was the biggest deal ever made. What do you make of it?
Well, he's good at exaggerating, Trump. I mean, everything's better than the last thing he did. It is not a deal, from what I can tell. It's like the Japan quote-unquote deal that was announced a few days ago. Most of the details are to be determined at some future point. 15%. Not great, just like the Japan deal. I suppose the Europeans felt this is what they could live with to get some kind of temporary peace from Trump. But overall, not the model that we want for Canada. It's not something we could live with, I don't think.
All right, and that leads nicely into my next question for you. What does this portend for the negotiations and yet to me made deal between the U.S. and Canada?
Yeah, well, it suggests that everyone who gets a deal, and again, there are no paper deals. The Japanese said this the other day. There's nothing written down. It's more like a gentleman's agreement. It shows that Trump is settled on this, 15% number, right, as a baseline tariff for goods going into the United States. I don't think Canada could live with that. Obviously, right now, we're not quite living with that. We've got this 35% threat over our heads, but that affects only non-CUSMA compliant trade, which is quite a small amount of trade. We certainly couldn't live with 15% on automotive goods, which is the key point here in the European deal and the Japanese deal. That's fine for them, right? They export, both countries, a lot of vehicles to the United States. So does Canada. But a lot of the stuff that we export is also made in the United States, right? So it's quite easy for those companies to decide, well, they're not going to put up with 15 or even 12 or even 10 for that matter. They're simply going to make the cars in the United States. So that's why this doesn't portend well, very, very well for Canada. I think we've got to be pushing for more. And I think the government, the Carney government, is correct to be taking this quite slowly.
To slow walk it. How will this deal impact global trade?
Well, it's not clear to me how it will affect global trade. I mean, the European Union is already a significant importer of U.S. military products, of U.S. LNG, of U.S. uranium and other products. So, the kinds of things that Europe said they'd be buying more of from the Americans, they already buy quite a bit from them. I don't think, given that there are tariffs on basically every country in the world, you're going to have much of a movement, right, of production to different countries to try and avoid certain tariffs. So overall, not a big effect. Again, not a deal. More like an arrangement to keep talking. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see when the details come out what exactly was agreed to.
Stuart Trew, again, always appreciate speaking with you. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Marcia.